All right. The mic is now on. For some reason, it always does this. The mic is now on. So I'm back in here live. So let's see if I can get myself back on here again. Okay. So we're now broadcasting again. Sometimes this, for some reason, it doesn't allow you to come on properly. But I'm now on. And I'll just keep talking. And I'll just keep talking. There you go. And I'll just keep talking. All right. There you go. All right. So now I'm back. This happens occasionally, and it could be because there's so many people broadcasting at the same time. I've known in the past that sometimes with YouTube, you can have 20,000 people broadcasting, podcasting all at once. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. This is a special day. It happens every year. It's known as the Lion's Gate. And the reason why it's called the Lion's Gate, because we are in the sun sign of Leo. And on this particular day, as we move toward this date, for us, August the 8th, yes, as we move toward this date, August the 8th, what happens is there is, what they say, greater communication galactically from Sirius to the Earth to the Sun to the Moon, as well as other planetary systems within other planets within the galaxy and other systems within the greater universe, most infinite universe. And so the title of this, I'm going to keep it short because I'll read it, but the title, the long version title is "This Gateway of the 888 Happens Repeatedly. Overcome restrictions, limitations, and stop dwelling on the past. You are the Lion's Gate. Time to remember." So I'm going to use the shorter version. You are the Lion's Gate, right? Because you are a part of it, you are an integral part of the universe. And you're in this level of conscious awareness to begin to remember who you are. Those of you who have my new book, I tell you who you are. It has only has come upon me to understand it over the past 10, 15, 20 years or so, working within my Circle of Grace 1 capacity and understanding that we have always been connected to something greater. So I'll leave it as that, right? And we're going to talk about it. This is a very important topic because everybody is talking about it now. I'm just not the only one. There's people all over the world. There are people channeling now their higher self. You don't really have to channel your higher self once you understand that you are your higher self. You just awaken to the fact that you are. The higher self has always been in you, around you, and with you from time eternal. So it is not like we have to uprun and try to seek it. It opens up to us as we begin to open. As our minds open, it opens. So, what you should be feeling is an awful lot of energy going on around you, not just from the solar flares, not just from the five planets that were in alignment recently. All of this stuff is converging and leading and opening us up, even with all the crises, wars, and things going around in the world. Those things are being impacted, those things are affecting us, and we are affecting those things at the same time. So, greetings and welcome here to the Clear Blue Radiance channel. I am the host and originator, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. Glad to see you here. I usually am here every Thursday. Last Thursday, I needed to take some time off, and sometimes I should do it occasionally, but I'm usually here every Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 1 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're on the West Coast in California or Arizona out, Nevada, Arizona, Nevada, and outward toward the West Coast going into California, it would be like 12 noon when I come on. Okay, and that's usually every Thursday. I enjoy helping people such as yourself, as I've been a spiritual counselor for over 40 years now, and I enjoy bringing greater clarity into a person's life. We all need that, and what we will experience as we need that, we need to awaken to this higher presence within ourselves. We are a divine reflection walking on this earth. We are an extension of the most high, as most people would say in religious sciences. You're a part of the divine source. The divine source is a part of you, just like you come by way of your parents into this earthly plane. You're going to pick up some of the characteristics of one of your parents or both of your parents, or you're going to look like one or both of your parents, right? And usually mothers who carry life within their body like that for a 9 month stretch at the max, if they're reading, wisdom books, if they're seeking different philosophies and they're getting all of that into their mind, that is traveling down their spine into their body, and therefore the child that the mother carries starts to pick up the wisdoms, picks up the emotional energy, the mental energy that the mother is carrying at that time. And that child is feeding on that information, etherically, spiritually, metaphysically. That child is absorbing the mother's environment and whatever the mother feeds her mind, not just her body alone. This is why children, when they're born, sometimes they will recognize the sound of the father if the father has been around. If the father hasn't been around, when the father finally sees the child will just, I know, you haven't been here. Who are you? But if there have been the mother's siblings, the mother's parents, aunts and uncles around, the child will remember. Why? Because it has heard the tones. And those tones are like melodic tones. And if they've heard negative tones, they can recognize it when they are in this physical world and see it for themselves. Now, today is known as 888. That means it's the eighth month, it's the eighth day of this month, and the year 2024 in numerology adds 2 and 8. The compound number is a master number 44. The master number 44 is about divine organization, divine order coming from the heavens and becoming material onto the earth plane. Also, what you see in the world is a lot of chaos, right? So there's chaos happening, conflict happening, and it's manifesting through us into the world. Even if we're not thinking negative or witnessing it up front and personal, like many people sometimes experience. A lot of people do, and when we read about such negativity, we sometimes anchor it without understanding that we're anchoring it, because we're witnessing it, we're hearing it, we're responding to it emotionally and mentally, for first and foremost. When many of us may have been watching the news back in that time with the George Floyd incident, and you're seeing it happen. That was rough. Imagine seeing war up front, personal. That's rough. All these things going on, we are in that moment and we are feeling it, we are seeing it, and it's coming in and we're spitting it back out through our emotions and our thoughts. Or imagine when something is positive happening in front of you. Birth is positive. Imagine happening positive events and you're witnessing the positive events. You're a part of the positive events. You're bringing that into your system and you're feeling it in every way possible that you could feel it, and then you're releasing it back into the world, back into your surroundings. So whether it's positive or negative, if it's neutral, the same. If you're seeing something and you have no kind of reaction to it, well, you're having something because you're choosing not to react to it, or your body is protecting you from reacting to something. And so these things are being experienced. And I think I was reading up on something, and I think the scientists, when they talk about matter and molecular and atomic structures, when they see these things moving about, but they say these particles of divinity. I would say the particles of divinity, the God mind cells, right? When it's aware that it's being watched or observed, it stands still. That's why we can see it. But when we're not giving it any attention, we're not putting our mind onto it, we're not feeding it energy, then it's in motion. And you can see that if you're looking at a day that has a lot of clouds, especially what we call a very sunny day, where you see the reflection of the skies being blue and then you see the clouds. And sometimes you see, keep forgetting the term that is utilized when you see faces in the clouds. But sometimes you see faces, you see figures of birds, animals, you name it, in the sky, and the time you reach for your camera on your phone to try to take a picture, you may catch it or not. It may change. But because you were looking at it, you were gazing upon it, it knew that you were gazing upon it and then it stopped. So you were able to see it. But the minute you looked away, it moved. These things happen all the time. That's why a part of this title is this gateway of 888 triple eights happens repeatedly, happens all the time, not just on the day itself, but there are times when you're seeing double and triple digit numbers called the eight. You might see it today on someone's license plate. You might see it on a building. You might see it part of an address. You might see an address that says 8188 or 8088. You're still catching triple eights. You're still seeing it. Okay. You might see it as a part of a phone number somewhere on a billboard. You're still seeing it. You might see it so the eights are split up inside of the 10-digit phone number. You're still seeing 888. Okay. So a part of this thing of the eights, the eight is a symbol for infinity. It is also a symbol for, in numerology, a symbol for the planet Saturn, which rules the sign of Capricorn. But here's some other corresponding references to the number eight. This month, even though aug means six, AUG actually means six, but in the calendar system, Gregorian calendar system, it is the eighth month. Okay. And then we see August. So if we count from January up to this month of August, we're in the eighth month, because we see January as the first month. But you have the first eight signs of the astrological wheel, and the eighth sun sign is Scorpio. The eighth house is present in astrology. So eights are popping up in different ways. Can you imagine if you get to be age 88, how much wisdom that you have acquired in this lifetime? And there are many, many seniors. There are some seniors that have been active their entire life. Maybe they've been a dancer. Maybe they've been a fitness instructor at some point. Maybe they've been into track. You know, people that have done that, climbing. They've kept their bodies extremely active in the martial arts and things like that. They don't show that they're like 88. They show the wisdom of the eights. Now, 88 in itself adds to 7. 8 plus 8 is 7, but 8 times 8 is 64. If that number 64 is connected to the hexagrams in the I Ching, and that's the Chinese philosophy, the I Ching, called the Book of Changes. So, what's changing? Energy is changing from one point to the next. There's a system called Japanese 9 star key system. I used to have the book, and it was how they saw chi move through 9 departments on the box of 9. So, and 5 was in the middle, and you could track your whole life all out for hundreds of years in advance, thousands of years in advance, and got it down not only by years, but by months, where you could see which number, according to the birth month and day that you are in, and also the year, how it looks for you, how the patterns of numbers or chi moving for you throughout that box. So, numbers are a language of the universe itself. And so, the universe is constantly talking to us, right? And it's talking through us because we are a gateway for the universe. We are a living, breathing gateway of the universe. So we are seeing the universe through our eyes, but the universe is happening on the inside. This is what occultists and metaphysicians and psychics have come to the understanding, especially metaphysical people and occult people. They have understood that all life is happening on the inside of you. And you have two physical eyes to consciously see it reflected on the outside of you. So everything around us that we see is actually going on the inside. And so the inside to the outside, to the upside to the downside, right and left, we if we think of these things as compartments, then what? We're separating everything. If you go look at IONS, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and they talk about this woman there. I think her name is Lynn Taggart. I forget the man's name, but they talk about the entangled mind. Greg Braden talks about it a lot too. The entangled mind, meaning thoughts are in this frequency, constantly connecting with each other. And if that's true, and we can see it prove in nature around us, we can see that, begin to understand that. This is why mothers are so highly intuitive, that they know what their sons and daughters are doing without physically seeing them, because they know their emotional energy, their mental energy, and their physical energy, and they're deeply in touch with their spiritual nature on some level, so they can tune into their son and daughter no matter where they are in the world, and they can begin to see and feel their experiences. And if they don't get those feelings directly, or if it's not that clear, they know something is happening. I know. I give you an example. I used to, as a child, bite my nails all the time, nervous, biting my nails. My mother wouldn't even be in the living room with me. She's in the kitchen, even though we were in a small house, and she would tell me, "Get your hand out of your mouth." I'm saying, "How she knows that?" There's no mirror in from the kitchen to the living room on an angle that shows me doing that, but she could feel it. She could describe to me when other kids would try to influence me to get me to play hooky, skip a day at school, or be on the school grounds and just literally walk off, and then show back up in time during recess and go get your stuff. But I never did those things because I knew my mother had this power to tune into me. So I was afraid. I was afraid to skip a school day or be at school and act out because my mom would tell me. She would literally describe it to me. Then I realized my mom knows something. I'm one of other people's moms know something. Well, some tuned in and some didn't. Some fathers tuned in and some didn't. But there was this collective circle that understood something that was happening, something that was going on. And I began to realize, I began to see that. And I had to begin to understand that. So I put this back in context here. Your ancestors, because the number 8 is elders, your ancestors can come to you as well. And when your ancestors can come to you as well, the easiest way to see those who have departed from the physical plane is through the world of dreams. And I've been studying dreams for a long time, just as long as I've been studying numerology since 1974. I've been studying dreams just as that long too. I didn't always have all the books out, but I learned, okay, I got this meditation thing going on. Maybe I will meditate on the dream. And I made a connection. There was connection between the meditations and the dream. If I had to get real deep in the Hertz cycle, theta range in the meditation, that was happening in the dream world too. It was getting very deep. If I could feel energy in meditation, I was feeling it in the dream world, through the dream world. And I've come to some understanding that that's not necessarily a fictitious thing that we're thinking about. It's actually through the mind and through the subconscious mind and through the heart and through all the other chakras and the parasympathetic, the sympathetic system called the chakras. We are experiencing another realm of ourselves. We're beginning to see another realm, see ourselves in another realm, but we call it a dream. Why? Because you can't physically see yourself. You would have to catch a reflection of yourself. You would have to see someone in the dream, interact with that person, and they would describe you in the dream. But yet you could taste, you could hear, you could smell, all right? You could see, and you had you had the tangible, you could touch. So you had your 5 physical senses were operating in the dream world and you were experiencing it. You could feel all that. You could hear all of that. You could smell, you could taste, you could see, you could touch. That means you're in an energetic form. I call it the dream body. Just like when you are in your physical form, you can look around, you can look down and see your body, your hands and your feet, and your torso. You can turn somewhat to see the side. But when you're in the dream world, you see more than that. You can actually see your own back. You see yourself walking away, not just, and you're in that form energetically. It's not, see, there's two realms of a dream. You could see your whole body in the dream. You can see yourself participating, but you are not feeling it directly. You're not seeing it directly. You're not touching it directly. So, what is happening? That's a symbolic dream. But when you're in it and feeling all of the energy and all your nerve centers are engaged, then you're in a dream body. It's a whole different thing then. So there is that strong possibility that you are experiencing yourself in another realm of consciousness, another realm of activity. And you wake up sensing you have been somewhere. People say they wake up with a dry mouth. They feel awfully thirsty. Why? Because you're using a lot of energy to experience this dream. These are the things that are going to happen from this 888 vibration from here on out for the next year. And can happen for even a longer time when you're going to begin to understand who you are and see who you are and witness yourself and experience yourself on a whole new level. So you will be able to experience your ancestors. those who have crossed over, and I'm talking the ones that just got over to the other side. You get a sense they ain't really leave here yet. They're here and not here. And then you hear them acoustically in your ear, in the space around you. That's the dynamite thing. I've heard people say, Francis, and it's my mother's tone that she used with me. I can hear my father's tone. I could hear the grandparents' tones, vocal tones, aunts, uncles. I could hear that. Friends that had passed on. There was a guy that I was very close to. He had a very rough life. He was 2 years older than me. He learned how to speak several different African dialects by going to Africa, being a part of an educational program when he was younger, like in high school. This guy loved to cook. And whenever I was at his apartment or he was at mine when I lived on Long Island, if he came to mine, he took over the kitchen, literally. He said, "What are you going to have for breakfast?" I don't know. He'd bring it. He'd make breakfast. He'd make lunch. He'd make dinner. He was so cool. I tried to sneak a snowball in. I was like, "Oh, you can't have that." He'd put it in the refrigerator. You're going to spoil the meal. Hey, my snowball. Yeah, he used Kiswahili name, Mpisha. How do you spell it? M, capital M, lowercase p, isha, or M apostrophe p. And it was Mpisha, meaning the African cook. He could really cook. He could cook you anything. I never had any two meals cooked the same way with him. But I could smell him all week in my apartment. And I would look around like he's trying to tell me something. Either you go out to a restaurant and get it, you go online and order it, or you go to the supermarket and get the ingredients, and I'm going to put the memory in your head to help you cook it for yourself. I would smell banana cake, carrot cake, red velvet cakes, because he made them from scratch. He made the kind with booze in it and the kind without. I could smell all those, the residue of that energy in my apartment all week. So I knew he was passing through my space. He was communicating with me. There's sometimes all I want to do is watch martial art flicks on Netflix. That's what he did. That's who he was. He was a martial artist and could cook. And he had a baritone voice and can sing. I could literally hear the tones through the ethers. Now he's an ancestor. I'm in this complex, apartment complex, for 6 years. And 6 years ago, he passed away just as I got in here. And he was planning to come out, but he couldn't make it. His health broke down. He would have arrived out here in July of his birthday. We have to overcome restrictions and limitations in all forms. In our thinking, in our feeling, restrictions and limitations. First and foremost, how we see ourselves. How do we observe ourselves? How we critique ourselves? We can be dead on accurate and critical about ourselves, or we could love ourselves. To be able to love ourselves and give ourselves the seeds of compassion through the heart center and let it grow throughout our body can help us have a better understanding of who we are. So we have to let go of restricting ourselves, limiting our thinking, limiting our doing, restricting our movements. No matter what we see that's in the news, we can't let that enter our space because it lowers our vibration. 888 is about liberating our feelings. You add those eights together, 16 plus 6, well, actually, 16 plus 8 is 24. 24 is the ability to administer something to someone. Well, administer, give unto yourself. Give back to yourself. Give yourself self love. Give yourself compassion. Give yourself the feeling of grace. Give yourself gratitude. These things are important. Because the more we do, the better we shall be. The more that we could give ourselves. We have to think like an artist, like a musician, like a choreographer who can dance, a film person, a writer. We have to paint the new picture of ourselves. We have to envision the new parts of ourselves. I was just looking at the work of this USA athlete, Noah Lyles, and his therapist. He sees a therapist. His mother got him this therapist because she herself is an athlete. And in one of the things that she said to him, she taught him how to visualize seeing himself being successful in the field of track and field, seeing himself being a winner, seeing himself running, feeling himself tire out ahead of time, and then push past that in the actual time. That's what they were talking about, mind. How to put the mind and the body. And his therapist, her name was Diana McNabb or Diane McNabb, and she's a skier. But she was talking about uniting the mind with the body. And she used the word spirit, body, mind, matrix. That's what you say. Bring it all together. You're not just this physical athlete, you're an emotionally sensitive athlete, and you're a spiritual person at the same time, and they do work together. And I was going like, that's why he's been so successful. Because what he's learned from her, he's applied it into motion. He said, if you can envision it, visualize it, and bring that into the body, once you accept it in the mind, it flows down the spine to the belly button. Now you're carrying this energy. That's what that guy Noah Lyles is doing. That's why it doesn't matter if he wins or lose because he's envisioning the process and then he's living the process. He's living the difficult moments and the sweet moments all at the same time, but he envisions it first. It is the same on 888. Today, we should be envisioning a higher version of the process of being in the human form, but not being limited by the human form, not being limited by the human brain, not be limited by the emotions that get impacted that we carry. And sometimes we take on the burden of other people's feelings, on other people's thoughts. And then they become difficult for us to release. So, bring it back on point. We have to stop dwelling on past events, things that didn't work out. We should not dwell on the things that didn't come into fruition, but not worry about it because we have what life ahead of us. We are now learning the quantum healing, the quantum science, right? That life is past, present, and future. It's all running side by side, and you're right in the middle of the present. So you have gradations of past and you have gradations of future, the possible future. So don't focus on the past too much. We begin to focus on the now. Yes, as a man thinketh, so is he. As a woman thinketh, so is she. As a child thinketh, but fearless they become. Because children feel it faster. We have to get back in touch with the feeling of things. Late Reverend Ike said that. Reverend Ike said, let the feeling get the blessing. But first, decide what it is that you want to be, do, and have. Then bring it around, make a decision, right? Don't get sidetracked by worldly affairs because you're not really a part of the world. You're part of spirit, right? And then he would take it a further step. Now you got to feel what that is like. Feel them. Neville Goddard in his teaching said, live from the end. Go to the end result where you're seeing yourself successful. That's what that athlete Noah Lyles is doing. That that therapist, psychological therapist, has him going to the end and seeing himself with the goal in his hand. Now, past 6, 7, 8 years, he's been at the top of his game. But he already knows there's some things he's going to win and some things he's going to lose. So he's accepted that. He just knows he's going to get a medal. He's not coming in last. He's not coming in fourth. He gonna get on a podium somewhere. But his ultimate in his mind is the top. It is so he's overcome what? Restrictions, limitations. He keeps his body healthy enough so there's no restrictions for the physical body. Therefore, the body's not limited. The body can do what it's supposed to do, what it's made to do. If we learn to have more energy running through our body, will become more flexible. If we could get a massage or chiropractic work, or we can get somebody that understands Pilates, or we can get somebody that understands the asanas of yoga, the postures. And if you could perform those postures on a regular basis, then you would release the storehouse of energy inside yourself and it would flow through your body. And what would happen? You become alive. You would no longer look like an elder. Your skin gets smoother and smoother, and the kinks get out of your joints, and you become more flexible. You would think as a child, be thee as a child in the mind, right? The child shall lead them. You start thinking youthfulness, vigor, energy, and you no longer feel stiff. Today is 888. For any of you out there playing numbers, play the 888 for a week. Let me know, because I'm going to play it too. All things are possible. Everything is possible if you open up. In one of my books, The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am, he says, you are the gateway through your heart. This title, Gateway 888, once you overcome the restrictions and limitations, once you no longer fall for the crisis outside that could be illusionary, that separates you from the greater source inside of you. Once we can free ourselves and liberate the mind, what are the things you're going to go after? You're going to allow yourself to seek higher consciousness right through there. You're going to allow yourself to seek higher consciousness. That's why a lot of people read newspapers, but better yet, people go to the library, sit down and read a book in a library. Take the book out of the library if they can, have all month to read it, or go to a bookstore, start buying books, right? Start absorbing, gaining that light, getting that information that they're seeking. A book should trigger you. A book should be written like a movie where you feel like you're in it, and now you're triggered, and now what's going on? You start feeling all these things. You start experiencing all these things. You begin to know what it's like because you become the thing that you're looking for. The late Reverend Ike used to say, you've got to put it in the consciousness first. It's got to be here first. It's got to be here. It's got to register inside your body. So let's say you want something as simple as a brand new pair of sneakers or shoes. You got to envision that you already have the money and you're wearing the shoes. Now you're led to different stores. Now you start shopping for the best price because you're just not going to pay any old price. In fact, you're not going to be hoodwinked into buying a pair of sneakers that cost you $200 when you can get a similar style of the sneaker. If you're trying to, impress people, then you're going to get a $200 pair of sneakers. But if you just want some comfort, and you're going to get the Southern comfort for your feet, then you're going to get what you can afford, but it's going to be quality. And people that have things and take good care of things that they have, they live well. Why? Because they're not living with stress. They're not trying to impress anybody else. All they're seeking to do is be that which they want to be and feel that energy. Now, as you seek higher consciousness, what else are you looking to do? You have to become what? Open-minded. The mind can't be clenched like a fish. You got to open it up so that you could experience the higher consciousness. So in order to have higher consciousness embedded in you, you've got to what? Open up. You can't be closed minded. You can't close the heart. You got to start feeling that higher level of awareness and consciousness. I always tell my students all the time there's only three things you need to do: be aware of things and remember things, and be present. Be aware of things, be aware of your surroundings, aware of new ideas coming in your direction, be aware of new opportunities coming to you, but also begin to engage your remembrance. Because while you don't want to repeat the same things, you want to do something that's new if you can. And when you're doing something that's new, it gets you excited. When you get excited with something that's new that's happening with you become what? A liberated soul, a liberated man or woman, liberating the mind. The mind is not entrapped by things. It's not feeling separated, but it's feeling connected to something within itself. The late Reverend Ike used to say all the time, you're not praying to something outside yourself. You're accepting that the presence of God is in you. So therefore you're praying to what's on the inside. And if those of you that play drums, especially the kunga drums, and they rest it against the body and the djembe drum, and they press those strings against the body, that vibration is traveling through you all the time. People go to clubs and they hear the electric bass. You get in front of that amplified speaker too much, no, you get deafened in your ears. You can't hear after a while. But the bass is flowing through you. That the rhythm of the band is flowing through you. It is the same in life. The rhythm that life has and the rhythm that you have, they have to connect. Now, you may not know everything. That's okay. But you are here to gain more wisdom. And are you going to gain more wisdom? You're going to be a participant in life in your surroundings, but you just need to show up for you and be present. In other words, live in the present moment for you. Don't let someone take you to a negative past. There's a lot of people that do that, right? Sometimes your energy can be so magnetic that the natural thing happens. The natural attraction happens. You have a high energy, it automatically attracts the exact opposite, a low energy. You might have someone around you who's complaining all the time. Complain, complain, complain. Everything is negative. The world is coming to an end. And yet, I had some teachers when I was younger, spiritual teachers, who were more like on the religious side, but they used to teach, oh, the world gonna come to an end. Well, when they told me that, I was 30 years of age. Now I'm 72. No, the world is changing. It's going to end or change. The part that we knew is going to end. It's going to be something different. Every 20 to 30 years, things are changing. Every 20 to 30 years, something new is happening. We are. We are the happening. We are the new being on the planet. We're shedding old ways of thinking, doing, being, having. We're shedding old feelings. We're like a snake. We're coming out of the skin, the old skin, and a fresh us is coming through. But we have to do what? Stay centered in the heart and grounded. So people say, well, grounding is a big concept now, right? People charging thousands of dollars to learn how to ground. You can do that on your own. That's free. You can find a park somewhere where there's no poisons, no chemicals or anything, and then pull off your socks and walk around. That's free. Breathing, that's free. Breath work, that's free. There's certain things, or a lot of things that are free, but people have you paying thousands of dollars for it. Why? Because they know that you don't know what they know. And what's that? It's free. Now, you might be paying for a technique. That's something different. But does the person utilize the technique themselves? That's more important. If you don't see them utilizing the technique and benefiting directly from the technique, then maybe you have to find something else. So you always are in search of truth of who you are. The last two statements, I just mentioned one of them. I said, you have to remember who you truly are. First and foremost, you are always connected to the divine source because you are an extension. You are a reflection and extension of divine source. And every part of you is in constant healing, wellness, wholeness happening all the time. Everything in the world is like that. If you do your meditations enough, when you go into a period of silence over long periods of time or successively every day, can get into that silent mode, you begin to hear the frequency. You begin to hear new words come to you. You begin to hear ancient words come to you and the meanings that come with them. You also get instruction where to find them. It's amazing how you, if the Chinese found it, there's 365 points in the body. You have meridians in the body with 365 acupressure points. You can go to acupuncturists and they will tell you all the points on the outside and the inside portion of the human ear is just like the physical body. So the way the ear is shaped on the inside, it almost reminds you of a fetus. Amazing. You got a right ear and a left ear. You get right side of the body and left side of the body with a little needle, wakening up the energy zone, opening up the energy zone. So who is the true self? Those of you who have my book, most recent book, Radiant Heart, the 7 amazing pathways to connect, activate, and communicate with who? Your higher self. You are the higher self. Tag, you're it. You're the one that you're waiting on. And you have the right to take that which you have been waiting on, blend with it, start becoming it, start thinking like your higher self, acting as your higher self in this present moment. Now, some higher selves are excellent with business. So be it. If you're not, don't worry about it. You're going to find out where you're supposed to be because the higher self within you is going to direct you where you're supposed to be, your higher self. So that means my higher self can't direct you, but I can tune my higher self up and communicate with your higher self when it's meant to be. Your higher self will communicate with me. Say, hey, Brother Francis needs to do this, this, and this. Then my higher self gets it, researches it out. Say, yep, that's what I've been telling him to do. I'll simplify it and give it to him again. We're in this physical form. This is our rocket ship. We're walking around in this physical form that's not really real to us. It just appears to be real because we're focusing on it. When we focus, again, the scientists have said when you focus on a particle, it stands still. Why? Because it knows it's being observed. What's that? It's going to stop. Look, just like you. It's going to stop and look around. Oh, 2 eyes over there focusing on me. Now it lets you engage in it. The minute you're not paying it no mind, it moves on. We are doing these things all the time. So today's topic was the gateway of the 888 happens repeatedly. Every year it happens. This is the peaking time. But guess what this time is? It's a time of revelation for you. It's a time of reawakening for you and awakening for you. It's a time of birthing and rebirthing for you. It's a time of generation and regeneration, a time of transformation and retransformation, stepping into a new you. That's what it's about. And if you can do it through your heart center, you will be always successful. That's my message for today. If you want to know more about the place that I'm affiliated with out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, it's called Resonant Essentials. Its new name is now Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics, REESM. is located at 2703 Broadbent Parkway, Northeast, Suite J, here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I believe the zip code, I think, is 87107. You can simply go to the Facebook page, Resonant Essentials, the group, and find it there. You could look up one of the people that's connected to it. You could send an email to Michelle, Michelle, at resonantessentials.com. That's her email address. And she can send you more and more information. She has a website for it. It's now a nonprofit organization, but she has a website for it, which is www.resonantessentials.com. Usually there's an updated calendar. You can see all the different events. Three of the 13 grandmothers is coming into the state, and they're going to be teaching. They're going to be doing a free workshop, and then they're going to be giving some classes. They're going to be given some healings based on the Mayans and the Maori systems. And these are three of the 13 grandmothers. And they travel worldwide and they teach worldwide and they do these projects. So if that, interests you, piques your interest, then it's going to be done at that same address I just gave you, 2703 Broadbent Parkway, Northeast, Suite J, here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, zip 87107. And so you need to email Michelle to get more information, or go to the website, or go to Resonant Essentials, the group, and you'll find out what we are doing. I believe that they're going to give an all day, you have to pay for it, an all day retreat right there in that building, in that particular suite in the back. And that's going to go from 7 a.m., I think, to 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. You'll be there all day. You're going to have some breaks. You can get some sustenance for yourself or bring some food for yourself. So they will be there. There's so much that's going on. You need to go to the website and see the different practitioners. They do readings remote, but you need to come for the healings. But they can work that out for you as well. I can't remember a phone number right now, so I can't give it. But if you review the other one that I did from a week or two ago, I give the phone number. So email Michelle at resonantessentials.com to get more information about whatever's going on, all the way up until the first Saturday in September. I'm there usually every Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for a very, very low two-digit fee, where I teach meditation. And I teach you how to find yourself. I teach you how to connect with your higher self. And if you're very consistent with your meditation every day and seeing me at least once a week, in 6 months, you'll have a interesting experience where the door opens and you can greet and embrace your higher self. I also teach online as well. So you can always contact me, I am dot circle of grace with the number one at the end at gmail.com. I'm Brother Francis D. Revels-Bey. Hope to see you here next Thursday, which will be the 15th of August at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Clear Blue Radiance. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing, as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. You can always come back in a half hour and replay this. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day.